We can try to build consistency the best that we can if we set our intentions reasonably low to begin and find ourselves being able to mentally be strong enough to hit those minimums, minimal effective dose, right? If we find ourselves with finding the ability and the strength to be able to hit those minimal effective doses and carving out time for ourself and our health and our fitness, which is step number one, finding out how to carve self and prioritize yourself, then we can start adding little bits at a time, not a lot, right? Minimal effective dose. Maybe as you grow, that minimal effective dose becomes slightly larger, and that's okay, right? Because you have trained your mind to get better and to marry the mission of showing up and not the model of being perfect and killing every session or every workout. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Make Fit Make Sense. I'm your host, Ryan Wade, and today we are going to dive into what makes people feel behind and why you're making progress even when you feel like you're not. This is the cause of why when you're so close to actually seeing an outcome, seeing a result, this is why most people quit right before that happens. You ever see the little meme online? It's like you're closer than you think, and it's got the guy with the pickaxe and he's going towards the diamonds, and the one guy's walking away and the other guy is still going and he's like this close, right? This is why that is. All right. And so if you're someone who finds yourself falling off right when you feel like you were starting to make really good progress and then something happened to kind of throw you off a little bit, today is why that's happening and what you can do about it. So by the end of this episode, something I want to do a little bit differently today. This is only the third episode of Make Fit Make Sense. I want to try some things, and I'd like to see your comments and what you think about just the structure of the show, because I want to make it more digestible for everyone involved. I want to just outline what you should expect for today. All right. So by the end of the episode, I want you to stop interpreting imperfect weeks as failure. I want you to understand what Dr. Ben Hardy calls gap versus gain thinking. All right. And then the mindset around not being good enough. We want to redefine what good enough means during your busiest, roughest weeks, during just different times of the year. And also, if you're just always busy, how to make yourself good enough to see results even with the only amount of time that maybe you do have, however small that is. And so I want to make sure that you're staying engaged instead of quitting on yourself. The yo-yo cycle of fitness is real. And I think everybody who's ever gotten into a fitness plan has gone through that at some point. But at some point in your life, unless you want to accept, uh, you know, illness, or you want to accept the antithesis of the results that you want, we need to stay engaged instead of quitting. And part of that is engaging our mind. It's training our mind to be stronger. It's finding your inner strength. And it's part of creating what I call mental resilience. Most people quit because they think nothing is working. All right. In progress, it often feels like failure before it feels like success. We go through tough times to get to improvement. You've been doing it since you were little. I've got a 7 and a 9-year-old right now, and we repeat this all the time. When we try something new or we start something fresh, it's never going to look as good for the first time, the first number of times, sometimes weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years, as we want it to look. But we can't get trapped in what we want it to look like. We have to focus on what it does look like, because the struggle and the failures and the trying times, they give us the instructions on how to win. They give us the exact things we need to do to continue. Again, most people, they don't quit because they're failing. Most people don't quit because they're failing. They quit because they misread progress. All right. We get stuck in this trap mentally of always wanting more. And this is what we call gap thinking. Again, Dr. Ben Hardy, Gap versus Gain, is a book. It's a great book. It's where I learned this. But people judge themselves against imperfect weeks, against ideal routines. People judge themselves around what they should be doing versus what they are doing, or where they were versus where they are today. That's the gap of where you're never good enough. And that's what causes like this dysmorphia amongst so many people. And also, it's where we start to feel like we just can never be enough. And how many times have you thought that maybe about yourself, or you've heard people talking about them like themselves like this? It just creates this cycle of constant frustration. And there's no way in that mindset of constant frustration and gap thinking that you could ever win. All right. And what we want to do in fitness and in health is we want to play games that we can win. And so we have to set ourselves up for that. But when you think that you're measuring against the ideal, the perfect situation of where you want to be, maybe you're just not there yet. It's like you're trying fresh, starting anew, trying a new skill. You're going to fail. You're going to have hardship. But every time you have those hardships or you fail, again, you're getting the instructions on how to win. And so we got to step back and think, instead of measuring against where we started, let's start measuring against where we were versus where we are today, and think about it in that lens and only through that lens. If you only look at the gap between where you are today and where you want to be, you will always feel behind, always. And so again, this is where the feeling of never good enough starts. And what we want to do in our mindset to create this mental resistance is to kill that monster while it's small. You have to kill the thought of that you're not good enough or where you're not where you want to be while that thought is just starting and while it's small. Because if you allow it to settle, if you allow it to grow, it will turn into this monster that you will never overcome. And so we have to train our mind along with our body to become better, to become stronger, to find your inner strength, and to start to build the resistance to negative thought patterns. Because mental health and physical health, they go hand in hand. And so if you're not thinking of why your thoughts are bringing you down, and we all tend to do it, right? We all tend to lean towards the negative thought processes, but we have to train our mind in order to be able to become more resilient. People don't quit when things are hard. They quit when effort doesn't feel rewarded. And in fitness, it is the ultimate long game, right? You're never going to feel rewarded as fast as you feel like you should be rewarded because you took some steps. Nameless fitness brands around the world who will remain nameless, they feed off of this around the first of the year, right? They count on you coming in and signing up for their cheap membership rates. And they know that you will feel rewarded once you sign up. And they count on you not showing up. All right. And so what we want to do is we don't want to reward ourselves for the things that don't actually deserve reward, because the only thing in health and fitness is consistency. Let me say that again. The only thing in your health and your fitness that matters is your consistency. It doesn't matter anything else. It doesn't matter if you had the perfect workout. It doesn't matter if you do all the right things. It matters that if you take those small imperfect actions that we talked about on episode 2 and you do them consistently over time. Show up the next day, do enough today to feel good about the effort that you put out, whatever that is, however big that is, and continue to show up tomorrow. So show up. Just show up is the hardest part. And it's something that if we just focus on marrying that mission of showing up, then we will be rewarded in due time. Fitness is the ultimate long game. The thing is that feeling behind does not equal being behind. All right. And so we have to, again, when we start to feel behind, this is a negative thought process that we have to kill the monster while it's small. Feeling behind doesn't mean that you're not making process, or feeling behind doesn't mean that you're not making progress. Feeling behind means that you are framing things and expecting things too fast. And again, just because you have what you consider a great workout, it could be too much, so much so that it restricts you from showing up the next day. And that is not when we should expect reward. We should expect reward when we have just shown up and marry that mission. A mentor of mine once taught me the concept of marrying the mission and not the model. All right. And so let me break it down for you, because this was a business mentor, but it works both ways. Marrying the mission and not the model means it doesn't matter how you get it done. It only matters that you show up and get it done. right? If you get so regimented in your thinking as to think that I have to do it this perfect way every single time, you will eventually go down that path of gap thinking because you're saying to yourself, I've done it perfect every single time. I deserve reward. Why am I not getting reward? I've done it so perfect. I'm not doing enough. I'm not being enough. I'm not enough. And if we would have killed that monster while it was small, and thought to ourselves, hey, I'm just going to show up today. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to give the required effort, but I'm going to do just enough to show up tomorrow and do it again. That is going to be your key in getting the results that you're looking for with your health and your fitness beyond what you thought even possible. And so, we need to redefine good enough. All right. And so, the thing that I want you to take away here is that good weeks don't equal perfect weeks. Rough weeks, they still count. And they might even count more because you're showing that mental resilience and you're building your mind in those rough weeks, maybe even more than your body. But again, the only thing that matters is consistency. And our body doesn't determine consistency, our mind does, right? And so minimums, they keep momentum alive, those small, imperfect actions. They keep your momentum alive towards getting the results that you want. So, for example, all right, maybe you had on your plan that you need to exercise 3 days a week, whatever kind of exercise you like, I don't care. Training once, it still counts, all right? Maybe things got thrown at you, but you showed up once, or maybe you showed up for 10 minutes twice, right? That still counts. You kept showing up. Again, the mental strength of this is so much more important. Maybe you didn't eat exactly what you had meant to eat. You didn't follow your perfect macros. But if you ate reasonably and better than you would have before you started, that's the gain. Eating reasonably, it still matters. Showing up imperfectly is success. So when I say marry the mission and not the model, the mission is to have consistency. I'm telling you, I've been doing this for 15 years. The only thing that matters is consistency. Only thing. And showing up imperfectly is still success. Consistency is about staying connected to your mission, not doing everything. Again, I'm going to say it again. Good enough weeks are what make great results possible. Think about that. So, how does this show up? I've been teaching this concept of this 30-day reset, right? And it's about small imperfect action done consistently. And so how does this show up? A reset is designed for imperfect execution. It allows yourself grace instead of perfectionism. And so many of us have these perfectionistic tendencies, or we're just afraid to try to put ourselves out there where we feel like we need to be perfect. So the reset kills all that while it's small, right? It defines success intentionally low so that you can hit your first goal and stack success and build the only thing that matters, consistency. The only thing that matters in your health and your fitness is consistency. The goal is staying in. It's not crushing it. It's not killing every workout. It's not killing yourself in the gym for multiple hours. It's staying in the game. So this 30-day reset, it isn't about doing more. It's about stopping yourself from quitting when things get messy. All right. And things are going to get messy. Life is messy. Everyone's life is messy. There's no perfect time to get started. There's no perfect days. We can try to build consistency the best that we can if we set our intentions reasonably low to begin and find ourselves being able to mentally be strong enough to hit those minimums, minimal effective dose, right? If we find ourselves with finding the ability and the strength to be able to hit those minimal effective doses and carving out time for ourself and our health and our fitness, which is step number one, finding out how to carve self and prioritize yourself, then we can start adding little bits at a time, not a lot, right? Minimal effective dose. Maybe as you grow, that minimal effective dose becomes slightly larger, and that's okay, right? Because you have trained your mind to get better and to marry the mission of showing up and not the model of being perfect and killing every session or every workout. So, what I want you to take away if you're listening is that progress isn't loud. Good enough is enough. And you have to allow yourself to, and we have to focus on where we were when we started versus where we are today. And when we start thinking about where we are today versus where we need to be tomorrow, or where we want to be, We need to kill that monster while it's small. And we need to strengthen our mind and remember that that is just as important because the only thing that matters is your consistency. So if you like today's episode, give us a like and a subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review if you can. And we'll be back with episode 4. I hope you're enjoying this series. I'm Ryan Wade with Make Fit Make Sense, and I'll talk to you next time.